Hello, and welcome to Hindsight, the podcast where I discuss my memories with games from my past. Today's episode is focusing on the robot fighting game, Custom Robo. Custom Robo is a 3D arena fighting game for the Nintendo GameCube, which had a predecessor on the Nintendo 64 that was Japan only, and a sequel on the Nintendo DS called Custom Robo Arena. The GameCube title featured a set of customization features that would be standard for the series, which is pretty much a given considering the name of the franchise. You unlock Robo parts throughout the course of the main story, which are also unlocked for the multiplayer battle mode. This kind of led to an issue where you really needed to beat the game before multiplayer was a whole lot of fun. And by then, multiplayer wasn't really all that much fun because one of the players had already experienced enough to have beaten the game and thus knew the ins and outs of all of the parts, all of the equipment, and the battle system. It was kind of a poor design choice that, in my mind, caused the game to suffer a little bit on the multiplayer enjoyment side of things. I specifically remember losing my data on this game and then losing access to all of the parts for multiplayer because of that. And mind you, this isn't anywhere near the same as something like Soul Calibur, where you still have like several fighters to pick from the start. You begin this game with exactly one of each part. No backups. So you need to play through like an entire couple hours of the game before you unlock any additional robo choices, especially if you want more than one good choice of weapon. I mentioned robo choices just now, and I figure it's worth talking a little bit more in depth about it. The customization screen has 5 different types of parts you can swap out for your robo: body, gun, bomb, shoulder, and legs. Each of these types of parts has its own attributes and are linked to a specific button in combat. Body represents the model of the robo you want to use. Some of these things are huge, others are tiny, and they all have their own highly unique features like jump height, number of jumps, defense, offense, and a unique dash attack linked to the X button on the controller. Guns do exactly what you think they would most of the time. The range of firing styles and projectile options is very wide in this game, so whether you want to shoot your opponent with lasers, rain swords on them, or rain meteors on them, the guns have got you covered. Bombs are your backup attack and can be utilized in nearly as many ways as the guns. Some bombs detonate beneath your feet to launch you high in the air, while others fly directly ahead of you, and yet others still lob over obstacles to trap opponents. You can utilize a bunch of these abilities to kind of flank enemies and cause them to either get hit by something or round them around some direction so you can hit them with, like, your gun while the bomb is detonating on their other side. Shoulders are weapons similar to bombs. They have less variety in usage, and for the most part are used to place obstacles in your opponent's path. Some of the shoulder weapons spawn mines that chase enemies, while others bury themselves in the ground where you deploy them. They're highly important in the late game once your opponents get faster and run around the arenas more. Finally, there are legs. Legs do quite a few different things, but their basic use is to change the way your robo moves. This means you equip legs to increase your move speed on the ground or in the air, increase your dash distance, among several other things. The other thing I want to mention, I didn't have it in my notes, but I meant to put it in here. There are 2 different types of parts in this game. There are legal parts and illegal parts. Given kind of the method of how this game's story lays out, as you get further along, you'll run across more of these illegal weapons and parts. And a lot of them tend to be quite a bit stronger, faster in a lot of different ways, basically less safe to use, and thus are not allowed in regular battles. Throughout at least the main game, I believe, you are actually locked out of being able to use them, even if you unlock them. Afterward, you're able to use them in, like any of the multiplayer modes, or there's a second campaign. I think you're able to use them in a couple places there, but not all. But now that we've talked customization, let's talk combat. Lots of this game is going to take place inside the Hollow Arena, where Robo battles take place. When you encounter an opponent on the overworld map, they'll challenge you to a Robo battle, which initializes the preparation screen, allowing you to see the enemy's Robo layout and change your Robo parts out as well. Typically, it won't matter too much what the enemy is fighting with, especially when you're really early in the game and don't have a lot of choices to combat with. But every so often, you'll find that you'll need a faster gun against, say, a faster Robo, or a bulkier Robo against a stronger weapon, different legs, all of these different things. Being able to strategize on the fly like that is fairly worthwhile to learn. Knowing what all the various parts do is part of that strategy, and you typically unlock a part from your opponent's Robo after you win against them. Once you prep your Robo and press start to begin the battle, both Robos are placed in the start cannon and a timer begins. Each Robo's cube, which they're placed in, has a number between 1 and 6 that gradually ticks lower until it hits 1 and resets up to 6. This initial point is vital for the early part of the fight, as you can mash buttons on your controller to tick that number down and try to get it as close to 1 as possible before the Robo cubes settle on the ground out of the cannon. Once the timer hits 0, the Robo begins moving. The combat from this point is pretty straightforward. Each Robo will be locked onto their opponent at all times, and your gun will auto-aim, typically in a direct line at your target. Bombs will usually have a target marker, which appears when you press the bomb button. You can hold down the bomb button and aim the missile before firing, and that's pretty much the combat. If you were lucky enough to have broken out of the Robo Cube first, you can take a cheap shot on your opponent before they have a chance to retaliate. Each Robo has 1,000 health, and the match typically ends when a Robo reaches 0 health. Now that we've talked about how the game functions, it's time to talk about the story. Your silent protagonist hero is something of an orphan who only has his father's watch to remember him by. Armed with that watch, a plucky attitude, and a desire to become a champion robo-operator, he sets out to get a job. You make your way to Steel Hearts, steel as in the metal, a bounty hunter guild, who specializes in getting in the police's way. They're practically hired guns when people need them. You don't get the job because you don't have a Robo to fight with, and they don't have loaners because every Robo is linked to its operator through a retinal scan. They don't send you home, though. They instead send you with Harry, one of the bounty hunters, to an emergency call at a nearby research lab. You arrive and find out that there was a group of thieves trying to steal a prototype Robo. I bet you probably already know where this is going, but hold on, we'll get there. Harry gets knocked out by one of the thieves, and you look around to try and help. You find a strange cube which you look into and link a retinal scan with. The Robo is now yours to use. You defeat the rest of the thieves one by one with your new Robo, Ray-01, collecting a few new parts along the way. After finishing them off, Harry flirts, unsuccessfully, I might add, with the lead researcher, who informs you that the Robo you linked with is indeed the prototype Harry was sent to protect. The researcher, being very kindly with the Steelheart's chief, gets you a position as a bounty hunter, so she can continue tracking Ray-01's progress. The next day, Harry takes you to the Robo Gym to train, and you undergo bounty hunter missions for a while afterward. Roughly a week of in-game time later, you and Harry are tasked with protecting the Robo Lab from a potential break-in alongside police members. At this point, you meet Harry's sister, Marcia, the police sergeant. A break-in is accomplished, and the components you were instructed to protect are inevitably stolen. Good job. Sometime later, there is an issue at a local underground Robo fighting ring. A rogue Robo is destroying the place. You show up just in time to fight the Robo, but aren't able to deal enough damage to destroy it. The Robo flees without any sign of an operator. The police file a report on the incident, and you head home. Another day, a similar call occurs at the local noodle shop. The Robo has come back and is even stronger than before, like it's evolved in some way. Fight it off a second time, along with some insurrectionists you've never heard of before. Fast forward a few insurrectionist incidents, and the police hold a Robo licensing exam and tournament. You enter as a team with Harry and dominate the competition. Afterward, Marcia offers both of you and a third Steelhearts member girl a chance to take the S-Class licensing exam. The exam consists of a solo fight against the rogue Robo, simulated of course. After you all manage to barely pass the exam, you're all escorted to a subway station. You ride the subway car for a while and arrive at a steel gate, along with an apparent dome that surrounds the city. At this time, they inform you about what happened a long time ago. Centuries back, humanity inhabited the entirety of the globe. Then a disaster, likely ecological in nature, struck, causing the remainder of human life to escape within ecospheres. Your hometown is one of those spheres. Outside of this steel door is what's left of the crumbling crust of the earth that was left behind. They also inform you that the insurrectionist group, SSS, who you've been fighting, have a base of operations outside. They invite you on a mission to stop the group in their tracks and track down the rogue Robo they've been utilizing to cause chaos. The final mission comes, and the group of 9 police officers and Steelhearts bounty hunters take off into the enemy research laboratory. You fight off swaths of enemy forces on your way through to meet up at a kind of Elite Four set of fights. You square off against these elite members in different sets of battles, ranging from 1 versus 2 to 3 versus 1, and finally, you make your way to the abandoned amusement park, which the rogue Robo Roku has been using as a home environment after escaping containment. I actually want to take just a second. I put it in my notes this way, but I remembered that there's a little portion of time here before you go to the amusement park where you actually have an encounter with your father. The watch that I mentioned at the very beginning is very important. It's actually a key to the memories and actually the weakness of Roku. Your father worked with these SSS insurgents to build basically a custom Robo that was able to evolve naturally. The goal for him to do this was in order to use technology to bring back the natural world to the outside. But obviously, the technology was abused, your father paying the price for that, and leaving you the watch with these memories on top of it. Using the watch, you are able to weaken Roku, kind of like enrage him in a way, and open up his defenses, so you are able to defeat him fully. The final fight, though, against Roku 4, is brutally hard. Even as a 3 versus 1 fight with you and the other 2 Steel Hearts members, Roku's equipment deals hundreds of damage with each hit and is faster than almost anything that you have, along with having a wide enough range to keep you from moving within 20 feet of him at any time. Eventually, you will hopefully defeat him and roll credits. But wait, there's more. After finishing the main campaign, there's another second mode attached, which, in my personal opinion, is perhaps even better than the initial story. Now that you've defeated Roku and brought peace to your little ecosphere, the town decides to hold a citywide Robo Battle tournament to celebrate peace. You can now go to just about every location in the entire game and access dozens of themed tournaments which allow you to unlock the remaining few parts and set high scores based on your performance level. Some of the restrictions and bonuses in these tournaments were really cool, to me at least. It pushed you to use different parts. So each unique part that you used gave you a point bonus in each fight. So to set your highest score and unlock all of the parts as possible, you had to use separate parts, and you had to have separate loadouts, including different robo types. I just thought that the tournament mode was really cool. It added a lot of diversity to your playstyle. It forced you to make decisions and fight in ways that you normally wouldn't, as well as fight against opponents that were really fun in the main game, and see their fighting style maybe on a higher level later in the game. Overall, the game is very witty and full of fun characters. If I had to describe it in one sentence, I would call it robot Pokemon with an advanced battle system. Hopefully you check this one out if you haven't played it already. I think it's worth a try. Do you have any memories of Custom Robo? Do you know anyone who loved it back in the day? Let me know. If you want more content, I've got a smattering of other projects like my Twitch streaming. You can find that easiest on my Discord channel. I've got the link for that down in the show notes. I'll catch you next time for a not-so-old title, which is actually receiving a remaster pretty soon. Until then, take it easy.